tap into this because I was I'm playing around with this I think it's called Suno. And I made this song. Hopefully you guys can hear it. You guys should be able to. Hey, hey, hey. This is literally kind of what we're talking about. Uh-huh. Dang. Let me get cooking. Hey, I wonder if you guys I hope you guys did. Let me see. Literally, y'all didn't hear any of that? That's weak. That's super duper weak. Hold on. If y'all actually didn't hear that, my apologies, but I have to confirm if y'all heard what I just. No, I don't think you guys did. That's whack. No, that's crazy. It's all good. This is what we will do. I will remove you because I don't know how you got onto the stage, my friend. But let me reverse what I was supposed to do here. Because there's this song that I was playing around with Suno. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but shout outs to AI. It's a platform where you can go ahead and what's it called? Make music. But let me go ahead and share. I should be able to play. I'm not sure why it's not playing without actually. That's
The
super
gap
duper whack.
is wide. Up and down, it's a mixed up tale. Some houses golden, some are stale. Neighborhoods win while others flail. Real estate roller coaster on the rail. Still can't be found. Small towns booming, big cities drown. The market shifts, ain't no solid sound. They
Literally.
told us buy low, but low's not here, and half the spots prices disappear while others rise like champagne cheer. A fickle game we all at here. Up and down, it's a mixed up.
I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm sorry. You guys could maybe towards the end I'll play this again, but I really wanted to go ahead and start our discussion. I don't want to keep holding on. Let me know if you guys are from, where you guys are tapping in from, where you guys are, yeah, where you guys are tapping in from. So maybe we could talk about your market, or if you're a buyer, you're a seller, whatever the case may be. Let me know. That's gonna help with enabling. Even if you're not here live, just let me know on the replay as well what markets you guys are in. So when we do this again and again and again, I can make sure I help you guys understand what markets, or at least help you understand what's going on in your market specifically. But if you don't know, we do this every Wednesday where we talk about what's been going on in real estate. As you guys saw in the titles, we're going to talk about real estate prices. As you guys may know, based off of things we even talked about in the past, yes, real estate prices are coming down, but it's not everywhere. It's certain areas that are coming down. So if depending on where you're at, you might want to know what market are going down, especially if you're looking to purchase in one of them. But we do this every Wednesday. We talk about real estate. Bring your questions, bring your concerns, maybe bring real life scenarios if you're comfortable enough sharing those things to here, where we can go ahead and discuss it at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, Eastern. But today's conversation, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about home prices. What have they been doing? Have they been going up? Have they been going down? And if they have been doing either one of them, because that's the only two, well, they can go sideways. So that's fair. But if they've been doing either one of those two, what regions, right? So we want to really pay attention to what areas specifically are going up and going down. or I mean, we're not really going to talk about anything going sideways. I'll tell you that because I actually didn't even look for that information. We'll talk as well as about interest rates, and then whether you should buy now or wait. And that's always the $1 million question. So maybe I'll have an answer for you, maybe it won't. But today, if you guys don't know, the Federal Reserve Chair spoke. And generally speaking, when he speaks, he's giving you either good information or, well, he's really giving you good news or bad news. And the reason I say good news or bad news is because they slightly, like it's indirectly, they impact mortgage rates. And so at this current moment, there was no change to what they were doing. So let's just say interest rates, for at least mortgage rates, aren't really going to do a change. If anything, it's going to stay the same as far as what it's been doing for the past, I would say, couple of weeks or so. We could figure out what range has been in the past couple of weeks, but we're still looking around the 6% for mortgage rates at this current moment. There wasn't real conversations about if there's going to be future cuts, which will then eventually help mortgage rates. So right now we're kind of taking it week day by day, honestly. I think the next time they speak, I can figure this out right now as well. I'm trying to. The next time they're going to speak, and the next time they speak will be the next time we get an update. It's going to be in May. So we have some time to see if things go haywire or if they turn out to be better than what they actually needed to be. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road because we could really start talking about the overview of where the market's at. Hopefully, all of this is gonna make sense when I start really explaining it. Yeah, that way, that way, that way. All right, so we're gonna go over the housing market entirely. This should help you all understand what's going on. Not in your region. This is gonna be more on a national. So we're gonna look at things nationally, then we'll dim it down regionally. Like I mentioned, if you guys do have questions or you have markets that you want me specifically to look at or get more information on it, data, whatever the case may be, let me know. That way we can go ahead and do that. But looking at things at a holistically nationally level, real estate has not really done too much, right? Real estate is kind of just, I would say, it's right now sideline, right? Stagnant. We're not in now those hot seasons. We're actually approaching it, meaning the spring, right, where everyone really starts to move. So seeing these numbers where they're at, it doesn't really concern me. It shouldn't really concern you. It's actually a good thing on your end if you're a buyer and you're trying to get into the market now, because you now know that prices are not even more elevated than where they previously were, which is good, right? But the only thing I don't like about showing you guys this is information from this is information from January. Real estate operates really slowly, and if anything, all the information sometimes that we see is going to be extremely delayed, given that most closings are not going to occur until 30 days later. So most of the times you're looking at old data, you just kind of put the pieces together for what may be going on right now. And this is just literally what their forecast, as you guys can see. So what they forecast over the year, and what they forecasted for over here on this end for the month. Oh no, sorry. It's just what was forecasted, and this is the updated. So it seems like everyone's making updates from their predictions that they made before the year started, which is a-okay. I shouldn't move this over if I can. No, all good. Here's the affordability. I mean, we could really touch upon this. I mean, but if you make 80 grand, then you could purchase a home that's essentially 375. But the question is, where are you going to find a home that's 375,000 right now? Some markets have it, some don't. And if they do have it, there's a chance that you may be looking at a beat down. I can't say Raleigh does have it, not the, downtown city area. You're going to have to go a little bit further out. I'm talking like maybe 30 minutes out. And if you don't want to do that, then you might have to pay a pretty penny, or you might have to buy a fixer-upper. And so if you're in the market and you want to know essentially what somebody has, what prices have done in the past year, you can see here it states that US home growth went up 3.3% from last year of January to this year. Right. And now there's a forecast of 3.6. But again, don't pay too much attention to forecasting. As you guys are able to see, a lot of forecasts end up being, you just can't put no confidence into them essentially. There's just no reason for it. But home growth right now, right? It's remains largely flat in the US coming out the winter. So for everyone that wanted a deal, I think here's your opportunity to strike because everything's flat, right? Prices are kind of what they're doing. I think, if anything, more people want prices to decrease, which you'll see where they're decreasing. But if it's not in your market and at least things are flatlined and sellers, if a house is on the market, then that's a real telltale sign that seller has to do something about it, right? So at that point in time, if that house speaks to you, you actually like it, then I would suggest you strike your deal up, man. Do what you have to do, make do. And if it doesn't work out, just move on, move on. But this is stating here that house prices are expected to seek, I want to say eke out gains, but I don't know what eke is. I've never seen that before. There we go. But it's all about the regions, right? At the end of the day, right now, the Northeast, if you're there and you have a home that you're trying to sell, you'll be all right. If you're there and you're trying to buy, you're gonna have a little bit more competition than you probably like or anticipate. Right now, that's one of those hot areas, and we'll get into the specifics as far as where. But Northeast is on fire. Actually, I'm working with someone right now, and he's selling a home up there, up in the Northeast area. And he's like, "Yeah, man, we haven't. He hasn't put his home on the market, so I have more information for you probably sometime next week, where I can actually relate to you how quickly was his home able to get on the contract." And I was an updated home, right? For the most part, good in an area that does have low inventory. So we will really see. We'll put the test to see if Northeast is really that on fire. I was even told, not by him, but the agent that he's working with, that they already have showing schedules and stuff like that. So it's looking really good for him and anybody that's home seller in the Northeast. Maybe not so much of the South or the West, but that's just a quick idea of what areas aren't doing all that well. But Mountain West, as you guys can see, are further from their record highs. Hawaii, I'm not really gonna pay too much attention to Hawaii. I don't know what's going on over there. Shout out to everybody that's there. Hope you guys are all safe. But despite all that, yada yada, yeah, great. So here's some ideas of where are some of the hottest markets. Now we're gonna see quite a few of these maps in just kind of areas. So the goal of this is find your area that you're either shopping in, or if it's not your area, then hey, maybe you can help somebody out by just sharing this information with somebody else, especially if they're looking at market. But as I mentioned, Northeast is really on fire. I can't really speak about what's going on in the Midwest. I'm actually shocked at this Illinois. I hear they have terrible property taxes. So, to see that it's on fire, that means there is something going on here that somebody must figure out. But and then we have California. Shout outs to those. Hope you guys are all staying safe. I don't know if San Jose was one of those areas that got impacted. Highly doubt it if it's still on fire. If it's hot, one of the hottest markets, literally. But let's go ahead and if we go ahead and zoom in, you guys can see Buffalo. So upstate looks like upstate New York, and then we're talking New York, New Jersey, Bridgeport. Interesting, right? New Haven, Hartford. All right, so probably your Pennsylvania is on fire as well, right? All those areas are right around each other, and you can kind of see what they've been doing year over year. All right, so won't pay attention to the specifics in any of the percentages at this current moment, because we can get all into those specifics. If you guys really want it, you can reach out. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you do want. So here are some of the markets that aren't really popping off, I would say, right? They're kind of relaxed, they're chill, they're doing their thing, right? as you can see, it's really the South. South, and I was gonna say that's San Jose again. Okay, so San Fran is not that. San Fran's not really doing his thing. Hawaii, as I mentioned. Then we have Fort Worth, Dallas. Aren't those the same thing? Forgive me if they're not. I've been to Dallas, but I heard everyone combines Dallas and Fort Worth together. So that's why I was like, aren't they the same thing? But anywho, Memphis, Tennessee, and then all these Florida. So where in Florida we got Fort Myers, Sarasota, Tampa, Winter Haven, and Daytona. Okay, so those are the coolest, right? Now don't confuse the two. Which areas out of not those specifically that are affordable, but just in general, right? So maybe your market is still on fire, and maybe it's not a market that's hot, and it's not a market that's cool. It's kind of just stabilized itself and it's doing its thing. Here are some other areas you can really look at to see. And when it's saying most affordable, I don't know what the specifics they're using to identify that. So use this with a grain of salt and really understand. Like, all right, if they're saying 100,000 for Johnstontown, Pennsylvania, then you really got to understand what's going on there. Don't take these numbers verbatim, as in like you're gonna find a home that's literally 110,000, because there may be opportunity. Maybe I don't. I haven't looked into that at all. Most affordable could mean a lot of different things. Then we have Danville, Illinois, Altona, Pennsylvania, Weirton. Okay, are these like the same place or something, or is it okay? They just both hit the spot. And then Cumberland, Maryland. And then if we go to the least affordable, you guys can take a guess, of course, what's going to pop up. Probably in New York, probably California's. Let's see. That's all Cali, literally. But yes, take a screenshot of this. If you guys need this information here to help you understand where else could you guys possibly be looking to get a home. And then the last thing that we're going to really do, before we actually do that, this actually kind of gave a lot away. Here are some markets that are on high risk, right? So these are some markets that I know that I'm going to share with you a little bit later about information that we do have about what markets are actually experiencing a decline. And we can look at the price point of them all. So West Palm is about 485 in regards to what, right? So home prices, is that the median? Is that the average? All right. So these are things that you really want to know. Arizona, Phoenix specifically, 426, 462. Tuscan, this is 360. What's this one? What's this black one right here? Tampa. Okay, they're both 360. And then we have 314, just about 315 in Winter Haven. And so let's go ahead and talk about this real quick, because this is insights from CoreLogic's Chiefs Economics, Selma Hep. And I what she shares here, I want to just kind of touch upon, just because I think it is helpful information. Just again, somebody that has a little bit more expertise than me can definitely share their insights and can definitely help you understand a little bit more. If you have questions on this, let me know. But flattering home prices changes over the last 6 months suggest further price deceleration is ahead. Okay, so that's kind of what we're talking about here. Where are those prices decreasing? More importantly, compressed monthly changes highlight the general lack of home buying demand that continue to characterize the current housing market. So that's this piece right here, right? So this is a big issue. I wouldn't say issue, but if you're a buyer in this market, this is the main reason why home prices are coming down, right? It's just not that many people that want to buy. So when people do not want to buy, what do? You lower your price to entice buyers to come into the market and purchase your home or whatever it is. That goes for everything, honestly. That's not just in real estate. While this year's cold winter and large natural disasters play a role in dampening demand, falling consumer sentiment suggests potential home buyers are wary of the short-term economic outlook and future inflation. Okay, so what could those things be, right? We're talking about tariffs being something that could impact, right? But they say tariffs is only going to be a small hit. In fact, they meant a lot of experts that I've listened to, they all say that if tariffs do come in, they're probably going to only be like, it's only going to be a year before we're like kind of back to normal, right? And I put those in quotations intentionally because that there's never a what is normal, right? That's that is literally the question. What is normal nowadays? But nevertheless, right, with the spring home buying season upon us, the recent improvements in mortgage rates may help and invite home buyers back into the market. And that's something we talked about weeks before. So we won't talk about that. Yes, mortgage rates have come down. If you locked in your rate, great for you. If you didn't, you're just gonna get surprised when you get to that closing table. But here's an article, right? So we're gonna go ahead and really talk about. Yep. So our home value is about to fall. It depends on location. Hence my title, right, of this entire video in itself. And that's really real estate operates truly indeed on a regional aspect. Don't necessarily think and don't believe that what's going on in California is necessarily going on in your market and or New York or let's just say Florida or in North Carolina, right? All of these areas are going to operate differently. In fact, they operate so differently that even though you're looking at an entire state, you then have to go even deeper into that state and look at what's going on in the county. I would even suggest looking at what's going on in the zip code to better understand exactly what's operating because real estate is very, very, very neighborhood specific. So if you're looking at a specific neighborhood and you got eyes on that, then understand what's going on there. If you don't, then just have an idea what's going on in that county to give yourself, or even that city, to give yourself an idea of how to prepare yourself. I would and I could go through this entire, but a lot of the things that we already discussed is not necessarily there. It's in there, but hey, let me do this for you. Do we have any questions? Something I did mention, I think in the previous one, it was about home buyer demand being suppressed, which is why prices are coming down a bit. But in this sort of market where prices are coming down, buyers now have the power, right? So buyers have the power to demand bigger price cuts despite even what you see. So you maybe let's just I mean I could pull up any listing right now. Maybe not any, but I could put up a listing right now and just show you guys exactly. Maybe we could do that some other day to show you exactly how you can help yourself get a price cut if you were actually looking at that. If you're actually looking and doing that, because you don't want to do a price cut where you shoot yourself in the foot, and then you offend the seller. You want to do a price cut in a sense where you kind of can get a feel of where the seller is. If they'll accept it, great. If they don't, then they give you a little pushback. At least they may not go back to their original list price if they're savvy enough. But if they're savvy enough, they'll go back to the list price. If they're not savvy enough, then that means they're probably just kind of dance around that number that you gave them to see if they can get a little bit more. Because again, it's a push and pull. Right, you're dealing with someone who's trying to sell for the most amount of money, and then a buyer who's coming in and say, "Hey, I want a deal." That's just natural. That's just naturally what occurs. But if we go ahead and look at this article, the national supply of homes for sale hasn't returned to normal. In fact, let me do this. I'll share with you exactly what that means. I did save it. Let me pull that up. So what exactly that's referring to is this bad boy right here. And so stating inventory hasn't reached the same levels of pre-pandemic. So whatever this number this is, right, it's between 8 and 900,000. You guys can't see that. If it's between 8 and 900,000 of inventory. So, and this is across the entire United States, isn't not specifically on a region. And so back in 2019, is that this right? Well, no, 2019, it was at just about 1.1 million in terms of housing inventory for sale. And we are sitting between, I would say that's more like what, 850, would you say? 825, 850, between that range. So you guys can see there's like a large gap there between getting to pre-pandemic levels. And that's one of the big reasons why we are experiencing price cuts, because that demand is not there and the inventory, interestingly enough, is not there as well. Yeah, I took notes on this one, but I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, okay. Okay, and I left off. They haven't returned to normal. So housing inventories are 16% below. I just showed you guys that. You guys should be able to understand that. Let me know if you want me to pull that back up, and you could take a screenshot of that or anything. But homeowners with ultra low mortgage rates, ultra low mortgage rates have been reluctant to sell, as you guys may know. Of course, who's gonna really get rid of their maybe 2-3% mortgage rate to go ahead and buy and have to deal with possibly 6% interest rates, and then of course higher prices in terms of mortgage, in terms of a home. So it's like a lose-lose situation if you really sell, in my opinion. But for the buyers out there, this is good for you in a sense. In a sense, right? For somebody that's like reluctant to sell, because if they're reluctant to sell, just think about it. If they're reluctant to sell, like that person just is like, yeah, I'm not gonna sell, but then their home is on the market. That means they have to sell, and that means that chances are they're getting rid of a good interest rate, which means they don't care about their interest rate. They have to move, which is all telltale sign. I'm saying these things intentionally because I don't think you guys realize when somebody puts their home on the market, they have to sell that thing because they're going somewhere else. They have other plans and things that's in place. Most cases, not all cases, because of course you have corporate investors now. You have regular mom and pop investors that buy homes, flip it, rent them out. Maybe they just don't want it anymore. But I would say for the most part, majority of the market is someone who's actually buying a home and living in it. No one actually, as far as what I've seen, not a lot of people like to participate in getting into that whole being an investor and having tenants and whatnot. But that lock-in effect is, of course, going to slow how much inventory comes onto the market. But in places like Texas, right, the number of properties for sale is 20% higher than it was pre-pandemic. I showed you guys this last week. Florida and California, Colorado are also above 2019 levels, and there's a few other ones as well. But of course, the Northeast and Midwest are two of the places that right now they're hot. Like Nelly would say, "It's getting hot in here." I ain't gonna say next piece, but here are some of the places that are their inventory is above 2019. So Utah is just at that cusp. Tennessee is there, Florida, Colorado, Texas, and DC, Washington DC. And in Washington DC, that I think that there's a lot going on over there. I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and there's two agents that one of them I actually know, the other one I didn't know him, but he was actually saying, and I love that the fact that he said this. He says the DC market is dynamic. When he mentioned, what's really happening there and what's the best way to describe it. And he said that because there could be a home priced really well, maybe needs some renovations to it, and it sits on the market a little bit longer. Whereas if a home maybe somewhere else, again, I don't know the geographic of DC like he does, but I'm not trying to quote him either. But basically, let's just say another home in another area, price maybe even more, right? It sells off really quickly. So it's really on a case by case scenario, and I like the fact that he said it's dynamic because it really goes to show you like and what's going on in one area of just DC. Let's use that for an example. What's going on in one area in DC is not necessarily what's going on everywhere. So really, truly, indeed, understand what's going on in your market so that you do not get lost and get caught trying to overpay for a home that you didn't necessarily have to overpay for. Maybe you didn't even get closing costs covered. Your down payment is not much you can do about that. And did you risk or did you lose out an opportunity to get your rate bought down? Or did you do any of that, right? So these are the things that I think the importance of understanding when properties are coming down in terms of their prices, what could you really get out of them? But let me go ahead and go back to my screen. All right, so we talked Northeast, it's on fire. Not much we can do there. Midwest, on fire. Not much you can do there. Deal with what you got to deal with. Deal with the punches there, or you can wait it out, right? You can wait out and see what comes with it. My suggestion is, if you're ready, get in, and that's kind of where it is, right? When is the best time to buy a home? This is like the $1 million question that I get. I'm sure a lot of people get it. I'm sure you have questions on, like, on this in itself. That's a question I can't even answer for you. I can only guide you based off of when you're ready, and if you figured out where you want to live for the next 5 to 7 years. If you're not confirmed that that's where you want to live for the next 5 7 years, then maybe you're not ready, right? But we'll touch on that later, because it's a question that no one but yourself can really answer. And if someone guides you and tries to tell you, yeah, you're ready right now, and they literally don't know your exact situation, then I don't know if they're doing you a service. If anything, they might be doing you a disservice. But just for those in the back that want to know and want to see the recent price reductions, I'll pull that up for you, and it should be popping up in 3, 2, 1. So here are the percent of properties with recent price reduction. So it's not going to tell you necessarily how much are they being reduced. It's just sharing with you the amount of homes on the market, the chances of them being reduced. So if we need 2025, which is this line right here, and you're looking at 30% of homes on the market are being reduced. So take it how you please. And I feel like this is not considering new construction, which that's actually a really good question. If it is considering new construction, then that would be that. That would be nice. But I would prefer it to be if that information this data would be separate, because that would be a little bit more helpful in guiding you and letting you know overall where that market is. But I mean, this right here it's a great article. Personally, I walked through I walked through it. I read through it, and I was just like, good points here. Some things that already was discussed. But that's just how the market. That's just how the entire United States is doing, right? That's part of the piece, right? We really need to understand what's going on geographically. But it's up to you and how you act on this information. It's truly indeed your destiny, right? That's the beautiful thing about real estate, right? If you're ready to purchase, then you'll know exactly how to operate and go into it. But my personal opinion, if I were in your shoes and I was ready and I know what's going on today, like, even I found out about the new product that this my preferred loan officer has, and I was like, man, I should have waited. But hey, I got what I got, and I'm good with what I'm good with. But the last question I want you to really, really ask yourself is, what are you really waiting for? Is there something specifically that you're waiting for? Because if you're waiting for prices to drop, you can literally strike up a deal and drop them yourself, right? By making an offer at whatever price that you feel comfortable with. No one's telling you you have to come in at list. We did it the other day for a client. We're like, hey, this home has been kind of sitting on the market a little bit longer. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to come in a little lower. And if they accept it, great. If they don't accept the price, terms, and conditions, then hey, we either continue to look or we work with what they offered or what they pushed back on. But you gotta at least put your foot into the door. Well, let's go ahead and check out what markets are hot. Let me do this again. So this is the hottest markets. Here you will know where to probably stay away from. It's the best way I could put it for you. Right now, it's of course the Northeast. As you can see, Hartford, Connecticut is highlighted there, and that's one of those markets. Even in this article in itself, I think New Jersey. He mentions there's a real estate agent that comments on this one. It's a specific county that he was referring to. Here it is, New Jersey. Where is it? Starts with a B. So if you guys are from New Jersey, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm not from there, so Bergen. Bergen County. I guess that's the market that he was in, and he's saying essentially how, yeah, you can look at this example right here. Right, the agent adds that the only time you see price cuts in New Jersey nowadays is when the property was aggressively overpriced from the outset. So that's something to pay attention to. Just because you're seeing price cuts on a property does not mean it's actually you're going to bargain at the end of the day, simply because it probably was already overpriced, which is a crazy marketing tactic. Now that I think about it, like imagine price is something higher, a buyer sees a ton of price cuts, chances are they're thinking, "What's wrong with this house?" Or, "Oh my gosh, they did a lot of price cuts and I'm getting at a bargain." But if you don't do your CMA, or your agent doesn't do your CMA, meaning like you guys don't understand what the exact home value is at that current moment, chances are you will get blindsided and probably still overpay. So that's why if you are looking for a real estate agent in your local area, reach out, go to the description. You'll see the link. Fill out the referral form. That way, I can get in touch with you and find out who is the best person to put you in touch with. But back to this example here, he explains how in New Jersey, the overheated real estate market comes from Bergen County, where in late 2024 in October specifically, Aces, is that his name? Aces. So the 5 bedroom, 4.5 bath on a quarter acre in Paramus, wherever these places are, for 1.7, which was 125 over asking, 125,000 over asking. If you guys are not reading that with me, so geez, somebody is, and that's a couple of months ago. We're talking October of 2024 in Jersey. They're still going over asking. What a time to be alive! And it only took him 6 days to get that property off the market. He hosted 2 open houses and attracted 130 people and got 27 offers. Holy moly. Shout outs to you guys in Jersey. Good Lord. 27 offers. Just imagine having to fight through all those individuals just to get a home. But that's reality for some places, right? Again, like I said, if you really want to compete in the hottest markets when times are hot, go ahead and compete. I honestly, I would say personally speaking, I like it when it's calm. There's not that much competition because there's more maneuver. All right, you can do more. You may not get the best of the best homes, but if it checks off at least majority of your boxes, then you should be fine. If you find a home actually that checks off all of them, all your boxes, all your needs, in your wants, then you found an anomaly. But other than that, you're gonna check off majority of your boxes. You'll be all right. You'll be just all right. So some of the hottest markets right now, we got Hartford, Connecticut, Manchester, New Hampshire, right? Yeah, New Hampshire, Kenosha, Wisconsin, Rockford. Speaking of Manchester, I wonder if this is the area that my past client was actually looking to move to, and this was late last year. He was looking at this market and he was getting outbidded consistently. So the fact that this is still up here, if this is the same area, I mean, this has been going on for a very long time. Rockford, Illinois, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So remember, we saw Pennsylvania, one of the least, one of those areas that were the most affordable. I think that's what it was, right? No, we have Lancaster, which I mean, I don't even know where Lancaster is in comparison to those other places. Probably could have looked at the map, but Concord, New Hampshire, Worcester, Massachusetts, Springfield, Boston, Massachusetts, Bridgeport, Connecticut again pops up on this list. So you see there's a common ground here. You'll see many times you'll see different areas pop up more than once, which validates essentially that information that we're either talking about or reading in the previous article or whatever the case may be. But Providence, Rhode Island, Raxton, Wisconsin, Norwich. If you guys know where Norwich is, that's Mohegan ground. Milwaukee, is it Reading? Wasu, Wisconsin, and yeah, Akron, Canton, Ohio. A lot of Ohio's. What's going on in Ohio? Huh. I might have to reach out to my Ohio agents because there's something going on there. 3 back to back, all in the same area, and then Waterbury. Oh wow, Waterbury, Connecticut. Ah, that's crazy. I would never. I would never. Um, if you want to see if maybe you're looking at a specific area and you want to see if that area is in a hot or cool area, drop it in the comments so that we can go ahead and touch upon that. But again, as you guys are gonna see, the Northeast and the Midwest right now they're hot, so I'm not gonna really touch upon that. We can go ahead and move on from this because I want to be able to show you. I'm showing you the hot markets, but I think it's important as well that you guys can also see the cool markets, right? The markets that are not necessarily a hot. Like it may be obvious that there's some areas that are hot and you gotta stay away from it, but that's not everywhere. So let me zoom in here. You can see, right? So Northeast, I'm not gonna go on the map in itself. So Northeast, it's pretty steamy. Florida is chill. Texas is chill. We got kind of California is kind of chill. I know Utah is getting smacked. Utah and Colorado smacked meaning like prices are coming down a bit. It's just like a lot of activity going on here. So if you guys if you're watching, even on the replay, let me know, hashtag replay, do all that good stuff. So let me know that you popped in and showed your face. But if you need a market specific, you want to understand if it's cool or not, you can either let me know in the comments or tell me now and we can go through it and figure out exactly. Because this is a cool source. I'm actually gonna keep this for my own goods. Alrighty. Um oh no, what did I do? It's already here. Oh, I just got sidetracked. Speaking of, it's March Madness. Hold on. It's March Madness. Let me sit up for this one. I hope you guys get your brackets ready. And if you do this for fun, great. I've actually started working on mine, just to kind of see where I'm at. I don't necessarily put any real serious weight into it, just because again, this is March Madness. If you guys don't know, this is one of those times where there's upsets that happen on a regular basis, so you can never really. I could do it better with the NBA because there's a little bit more easier. But March Madness is a different beast. Let me know in the comments or whenever you're watching this, what's what's your Final Four look like? I can show you mine. Again, I'm working on it, so what's here today may not be there when I'm done. But this is what I have. I have Michigan, Memphis, and then Arizona and Houston. I would love to see my UConn boys take it, but they've been looking a little bit shaky. I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. But yeah, before I got sidetracked, sorry about that. So here is where we're gonna see the markets where people are actually slashing prices, right? So we're still going on that. Where are the cool markets, right? We're not necessarily looking at the hot markets, but we want to get as much information to share with you so you understand exactly what markets are getting slashed, right? Slashed. I should say that a little bit better. What markets are actually receiving price cuts? Because if you're waiting for a deal, the deals are out there. As they always said, I think in 2020 when things were going up, they were like, yeah, there's still deals out there. And sure enough, there were deals because if we all knew prices were going to go up that much, I'm pretty sure we all would have ran even harder and faster in purchasing a home, especially if we were all fortune tellers. But nationwide, right? So this is talking nationwide in January, 22%, almost 23% of sellers nationwide lower their asking price. There's I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'm giving you the information. It's up to you to move. You know, back then it was houses are overpriced. Now they're still overpriced, but if sellers are cutting, is it still really overpriced? It may not be a good house overall, but it's one of those things where it's a give or take situation. If you wait until they drop mortgage rates and everybody now is the talk of the town of real estate, just recall what happened in 2020. That's just gonna happen all over again. You guys saw the inventory. It wasn't high. It wasn't where it was pre-pandemic, so that's not gonna be a good sign. But Phoenix, Arizona, that's one of those places where they're doing cuts. Resale, I don't know if again, I don't work these markets, so I'm pretty sure new construction is doing cuts because they're doing cuts here, price cuts in North Carolina, and so I would assume this is including new construction. So, but I would highly encourage those individuals in the market right now, look at new construction at the same time. If you're looking at resale, if you want to cancel it out entirely, you are free to do so, but at least take a look at it. I just had a random thought. I was like, man, what if I'm not even live right now? That would be disappointing. I'm sure that's happened to somebody before. Tampa, that's another market we talked about that's receiving cuts. I keep saying cuts like you guys under price cuts. Jacksonville, Florida. And then here's some other areas. Oh, all right. All right. And these areas, they're all have price cuts greater than 25%. And honestly, anything that's above 20% is a crash, consider it, realistically speaking, right? So it's 10%. If it's a 10% decrease or a cut or whatever the case may be, then it's considered a correction, which is kind of, I think, very similar to what the stock market just actually went through, which we'll see, right? In due time, we'll see if it was actually a correction or if it's going to continue to furtherly go down. If it's going to continue to furtherly, is that even a word? If it's going to continue to if it's going to go down further, there it goes. But if it exceeds 20%, then it's called a correction. So you can actually consider, on a home by home basis, it's probably not the wisest thing to do, because at that point in time, you really want to look at that entire zip code, that neighborhood, to see exactly what's been going on. But in Orlando, Dallas, Texas, Denver, Colorado, Nashville, Tennessee, San Antonio, Texas. I hope you guys can see this. Take a picture of this. Do whatever you got to do to remember that these are the markets that they're cutting their prices. Atlanta, Georgia. I was on a stream last week, or was it earlier this week? I don't remember. And we were talking about this as well. All right, Indianapolis, Houston, Texas. Ah, look at that. I don't know if we've been cutting 26%, but we've been cutting. Oklahoma City, Charlotte, Memphis, Las Vegas, Louisville, and Miami, Florida. Again, I want to really talk about the Raleigh, North Carolina market a little bit more, because of course that's a market that I work in. And for those individuals that are seeing that, yeah, some areas are getting cut. Are they getting cut 26%? I would like to, I didn't look at the data, so I'm not going to even comment on that too much. But let's just put it like this. If they're doing a 26% cut in your local market, there's your opportunity to get help with closing costs, because there's your opportunity to get help with closing costs. There's your opportunity to get help with maybe even buying down the rate. Yeah, rate is one of those things right now that's a kicker for you, and you're like, yeah, you really don't want to do that. Buy it down, and then maybe you can even take care of your own closing costs. If you don't want to take care of either one of them, you got to really ask for a lot of money at that point in time from the seller, and you can only hope that they give that to you while still appraising, right, for that property. Or you can actually maybe you just use it for your closing costs, and you don't want to buy down your rate or anything. You can maybe leave the closing table with the check, which happens. It really does happen. I know one agent that's literally that's what he tries for every single client. He tries to get clients with no money into a property and helps them literally get paid to buy a home, which is crazy because most times you're doing the paying. Uh, I got to charge this real quick. My bad. Sorry, my big old noggin is in your head at this point, in your face at this point. But for those individuals that are looking in that Raleigh market, I mean, this is not a market that's going to slow down anytime soon. If you don't know, if you don't believe me, just go look how many people are still moving to this area. I mean, consistently still helping people relocate to this area. And it's not, of course, like what was going on back in 2020, but that it's one of those when businesses are coming here, people are moving here, and whether it's to work or even to just relax. And then when I say relax, more like the retiree, that's a good sign, right? You're getting multiple different aspects, and then on top of that, we have that Raleigh area. You have UNC, Duke, NC State. Those three main schools. I feel like I'm missing something. Wake Forest is further up. Am I missing a school? UNC, NC State, Duke? No. But you have those three major schools, right? And we're not talking about those are not small schools, especially on the education level and even sports, right? Right? They all hold their own weight when it comes to it. So you have that in itself to help fuel that entire economy. So if you're concerned about the 26% cuts that you're seeing as a seller, maybe, but as a buyer, that's a good thing for you. This is your opportunity to go and really look to see what's really happening. I could show you this chart here, but I don't know if it's really gonna make a difference. I'll show it to you just so if you want to screenshot it, you can. I won't keep it up for long though. So, but this is based off of the market. This is actually information from Zillow where they're talking about those price cuts. So let me go ahead and zoom in so you can take your pictures and you can see. So the most important piece I would say when looking at homes is pay attention to median days. Well, in this case, pay attention to days on market, but look at if this is in one of your markets, pay attention to what is the median days to pending. Because that's going to give you an idea. If a home is on the market a little bit longer than what you see here, then you might have an opportunity to strike. All righty. And if you don't know how to get any of that information, then this is a great opportunity for you to reach out to me and just click the link in the description, complete the entire referral form. That way I can connect you to a real estate agent who will help you with that information and just getting it to you. So let's go ahead and again, I'm going to start scrolling through this. So take your screenshots if you need it. This is actually at the same time like a good opportunity for me to kind of look back at this at a later date to see how everything performed. Man, this is pretty much going through. I want to say not all 50, at least those major areas. I think it was Pennsylvania was the last one. Cleveland. Right. Almost there. Almost there. There goes Raleigh again. And that's about it. Again, I wanted to go through that quickly just to give you that information so you have it. Because I know a lot of times I do speak about, what's going on the buyer side. But I got something for you sellers, which is, right here, right? So top 5 markets where homes are selling the fastest. This is going to help those individuals in that specific market. But if you're not in these markets, San Jose, which we saw was already a hot market earlier, San Fran, we saw that was, see what I mean? When you have San Fran, I'm pretty sure that showed on the other graph it was cool. But this is why you really got to understand, like, just because what you're seeing here, I can even find a lot of conflicts, and I'm like, I don't know about that one. Boston, Massachusetts, that was definitely on one of those lists. We did see DC, but DC also had a lot of inventory, and it's actually more than it's 2019 levels, essentially, is at those levels. And then San Diego, I don't remember seeing San Diego on one of the hot lists. So sometimes it's like, man, you could look at these things and be like, what are they really using to get this information? And it's tough, right? Because they're not explaining it. As you guys, I can even go up to the top. All they're talking about here is about the different markets, but they're not necessarily telling you how did they come about those numbers, or at least those decisions, which is okay. But this is the importance of understanding and reading through. Yeah, that DC one is interesting because with Doge, all those layoffs, the agent that I know that's in DC talked about how dynamic that DC market is, and not everybody is selling as quickly. Of course, it all depends on the home in itself. It's just a lot going on right now. It's like a truly, indeed, a push pull situation where you have a problem over here and a problem over there, right? You have sellers who are literally like, all right, if I'm going to sell, but I'm going to sell and losing a little bit more money, is it wise for me to sell, or do I just hold on to it? Then the sellers at the same time have that thought process of, and this is just kind of the conversations that I have and the things we have to work through. If a seller has a good interest rate, chances are they're like, I don't really want to give this one up. So that's another argument. Whereas the buyer on the other end, they're like, hey, interest rates, affordability, I don't want to compete. So I want a deal, right? So these are things that's like, it's like a push pull. And I think this next article here is going to help you understand what I mean about the sellers. It's like a push pull situation. Sellers have a thing and the buyers have a thing. The goal is, I think, to really, truly, indeed find the home and the seller that's willing to work with you to help you get what it is that you desired. Otherwise, you'll keep looking forever and ever and ever. And so here's a article that Clever did, and then they did a survey for a bunch of homeowners and they try to understand, why aren't people selling? Essentially, that's my guess. They try to understand that, and here are some of the reasons. Should have did this earlier. Here are some of the reasons. Give me 1 second. So here are some of the reasons that they mention what would scare them. Give me 1 second. Takes a long time to load for you guys. So based on that survey, what would scare you about potentially selling your home, right? So this is like that push-pull situation. These are the thoughts that go through a seller's mind, right? So a lot of them, 42% says the stress of selling in itself. And that stress could be, staging, cleaning the home, preparing it, getting all your documents, getting all your paperwork together. The cost in itself, 40% of people that scare them, which you gotta know about that. I guess if you have to make repairs, but you don't have to make repairs. It's ideal because they're gonna come back on inspection anyways. Not being able to afford a different home, right? So again, if you bought 2-3 years ago, you're dealing with different price points, you're dealing with different interest rates, and hopefully you have equity in that home. Hopefully you didn't overpay for that home, and now you may be stuck at that point. Not selling for enough, right? That's a big one. Not we all, but I would say majority of the people purchase homes to then take that home, take the profits, and apply it to the next home, which will reduce there's a few things that it will reduce. It will reduce your mortgage payment. That's really the only thing it will reduce. I don't know what I'm talking about. The emotional toll of leaving, that's 29%. That's not that big of a dig. That's not that big of an issue there. Declining market conditions, that's currently what some markets are experiencing. Offers falling through, that's has nothing to do with them. I don't know why a seller would be scared about that. That's up to you to make sure that you have a good offer coming in, right? So you don't want an offer that's going to be a bad one, right? Because again, even if an offer comes into a seller, they don't have to accept that, especially if they think it's not a healthy one or a good one that's gonna hold for the next 30 to 45 days, however long it takes to close. But negotiating with buyers. Don't know why that would scare a seller. You can always hire an agent if you don't want to negotiate, but no interest from buyers for their home. Not timing the sale with the purchase. That's a huge one because you don't want to be homeless. I can see that one. Figuring out how much to list a home, just hire an agent or go on Zillow and run your comps to do that. Like that's some of these things. It's like, why you shouldn't be really scared. But it's more than that though, right? So that's just piece of it. I'll share with you the other one so you can see. And while that article in itself, there was a statement that was made that 22% plan to sell in the next 5 years. I'm just assuming that they're just kind of touching, dipping their toes to see how far can they get. And then, of course, 91% of those who don't expect to sell, saying there are things like that we just mentioned holding them back, including what you see here, which we can go ahead and see. They feel pressure about they'll feel pressure about accepting a lowball offer. Oh man, that sounds like something that we would do here, right? This is what we do in this community. We don't pressure, but we give you the offer and you make your decision how you want to proceed. But if you're not getting any interest, there's a chance that you'll accept it. So, but anyways, I will have to spend more on repairs, okay, or staging than I expect. Yeah, that's somewhat of a concern. They really don't want to accept the low ball offer, which is understandable. I get it. I get it. I get it. Sell at a better time. That's the only thing you can say to a seller, because I'm pretty sure you will come across a stingy, a stubborn seller that's like, no, my price is my price. So those situations, you just go find another buyer and go find another seller. But the buyer of my home will insist on lots of concessions. That we're somewhat of a concern. We're in that sort of market. We are in this. It seems like a lot of what I'm about to talk about now is a somewhat of concern. So buyers will back out of the deal last minute. Make sure you have a good home is what I would respond to that. I would be less happy in the place I moved to. Maybe that's a good reason why you don't move. Inspectors will find significant flaws. Yeah, well, you can always do a pre-inspection. That's definitely going to help. All right, and maybe if you find something in your pre-inspection, you don't actually list your home because you want to go ahead and deal with that issue in itself, or you just say, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and just let a buyer know this is exactly what's going on. My home will sell. My home will sell more than 10% below asking. Depends. Home prices will rise significantly right after I sell. Yeah, that's everyone's issue. I mean, hey, that's stuff we can't control. It's always like, when you buy something and then everything turns, or what you thought is exactly what was going to occur. My home will fail to appraise. Yeah, that could be an issue, right? Hopefully, you price it right initially to help everybody understand. But also, if you're a buyer and you can come across this as an issue as well if you're a buyer. Hopefully, your real estate agent does a comparable for you so that you can better understand if this, if it will even appraise. But my home will sell for like 5%. So it seems like a lot of money issues. That's what's scaring sellers. It's not even the interest rate, which is insane. Because I would think the interest rate will hold individuals a little bit more to that. But I want to go to this article here because I want to share with those sellers out there. Supposedly, this is the best time to sell for the upcoming spring market in 2025. So you can date that. Everybody that's a buyer, just keep an eye out on this time frame to see, is our sellers really gonna wait for this date specifically? Because if so, if you move a little bit quicker than others, then you can go ahead and get something really good quickly before somebody else sees it. And if you're watching this now, you're prepared, right? You're going to be prepared in getting this information. But April 13th and the 19th is expected to have the ideal balanced housing market conditions that favor home sellers more so than any other week in the year. I don't understand what is it about this week specifically though. I'm gonna look at the calendar. Is there something going on that week? It's such an odd week. And a balanced market is not really good for sellers. So why would the ideal balanced market is not really? Yeah, that's interesting. And they're just going to talk about a whole bunch of different stats and data and points that I'm not going to discuss today because I feel like I'll be repeating myself over and over again. But let's go ahead and see where mortgage rates were today. Updated today at 6.8. You can see it right here. Uh-oh. Yep, there it goes. Nice and bright for you. Right. So, like I mentioned, if these mortgage rates are a concern to you, this could be a good opportunity to try to find a home that's going to help you buy that rate down. If you don't want to go that route, you can go new construction because new construction, you can also, some of their lenders are actually, if you go with their preferred lender, they are actually giving you fixed rates too. We're not talking about just the 2-1 buy down, which 2-1 buy down is when you get a lump sum of money. It's like the builder is essentially just giving you additional funds to purchase that home in a sense. But what happens is, let's say your rate is, let's use the 6.8 that we just saw as an example. That 6.8 drops for the first year, it'll drop 2 percentage points. So it will come down to 4.8. And then the next year after that, so in 2026, it'll go up to 5.8. And then it will flatline at whatever. Let's just use this example, 6.8. So that's what the 2-1 buy down looks like. But if you are in that market right now and you are concerned about mortgage rates, really look to see if you can do a 2-1 buy down, or maybe just buy down your rate in itself. Typically speaking, whatever the loan amount is, if you want to buy it down a whole percentage points, everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. But if you want to buy it down, let's just say a percentage point, or maybe I think it's half a percentage point. Everyone does it so differently. But let's just say 1 percentage point, right? So if you want to buy it down from this example here, talking about a 6.8 that we just saw that the market is literally dealing with for mortgage rate, if you want to buy that down to 5.8 and you're looking at a $300,000 home, you'll have to come out with $3,000 at closing to buy that down to 5.8, right? Or again, like I'm telling you guys right now, do that with the seller, right? Seek for additional funds. See if the seller is willing to accommodate it. If so, then that's music to your ears, right? And maybe you don't want to deal with the whole entire new construction process. I mean, if you don't, then obviously look at resale, see if they can do anything that end. But I would highly encourage look at new construction because sometimes they do have inventory that's already done. I know I'm talking a lot about trying to get you guys to go to new construction, but if you don't like the community doesn't fulfill what it is you're looking for, I get it. I understand. Don't do it in that case. But if it's something where it fits, it checks all your boxes, you like it, the price point is good, like they're giving out great incentives that I don't think you're going to find in resale. And that's why I'm sharing with you. And if you can wait, if maybe the home isn't ready, if you can wait approximately 6 months, maybe a year, chances are they have inventory. So you shouldn't have to wait a year. But I would say if you can wait at least 6 months, then you should be fine. There's not that many communities. At least I can speak on the Raleigh area. There's not that many communities that, at least I've been to, that don't have inventory already ready to go. It's just a matter of does it check all of your boxes. And I just want to do this last thing, right? Because I'm sitting here telling you about mortgage interest rates. Let's use the 300,000. Keep it real simple. Let's do 3.4 plus 3.5. right? I'm thinking about FHA, right? All right, so we're doing a 6.8. What we just saw. Let's do. Let's do 2761. Let's do downtown. So all of this is going to be. I'm going to put this as all zero intentionally, right? You're going to have PMI, especially if you put down 3.5% or anything less than 20%. You may have a HOA fee. So if you do go through this entirely, so right here, right now, if I update that, it's $2,085 a month. This is the significance I'm talking about when I'm referring to, and of course, this is on 300,000, right? So again, whatever price point you're looking at, do it for that. This is the significance that I'm talking about. So let's just say you do the 2-1 buy down, right? So you go 4.8 for your interest rate with a 2-1 buy down. Wow, you just saved approximately $300, right, by going down 200 percentage points. And now let's just say that goes up to 5.8, right? A couple, it was about $100, 100 and some change that it went up the following year. Oh wow, and property taxes are over here as well. So that is something that you would definitely want to consider. Okay, it's over here as well, so that's good. All right, and if you go back to that 6.8, you can see how that makes a difference. So that's why I think, just maneuvering, finding what works for you, what works for your market, what you need help with, explain that very clearly and upfront to the real estate agent that you are working with, so that they do help you make sure to get what it is you're looking for. Essentially, like if you don't share that information and you expect the real estate agent to help you with certain things and you blindside them, then you just made that process way harder. But don't forget, man, I'm always here to help you guys all make sure you can get into home ownership, especially as a buyer. I mean, I think, personally speaking, buyers have the disadvantage more than ever before, especially with inventory issues, sellers not wanting to sell, affordability, interest rates. I mean, it's like all buyers are stacked. All the odds are stacked against the buyer at this point. So buyers, you have to get creative. You got to understand that, hey, if you see something that works, and you need another opinion, you can always reach out to me via email. That way we can go ahead and discuss it and see if there's anything that I could do to help and maybe point something out to you. And if I can't do it, I'll connect you to a real estate agent specifically in that local market that could help you a little bit more. And because again, I can only tell you what's going on in North Carolina. I can't tell you what's going on everywhere. I pay a little bit more attention here than everywhere else intentionally because I have clients I have to serve at the end of the day. But come here every Wednesday, 7 p.m. We start this thing and we go on till I go through everything I want to go through to explain to you what's going on in the market, so that you can have a better idea how to prepare yourself, how to maneuver through your situations. Whether it's, I don't necessarily, I would say, prepare yourself prior to making an offer. I can only prepare you if you're in the market and ready to go. Preparing prior to, which maybe income, credit, that stuff I can't really necessarily help you with. Saving up money, like all that stuff is really, really, really important as well when you're trying to purchase a home. So if that's where you're at, work on that stuff until you're ready to go. Otherwise, come here and get as much information, knowledge that you possibly can to help you when you're ready for that next step, which is making offers, looking at homes, what to look out for, how to negotiate a great freaking deal so that you can know that you're protected whether the market goes up or the market comes down, because that's a whole nother conversation for another day that I really won't get into. But as you guys know, I'm here for you. But until next week, let me know what questions you guys have. If you're on the replay, #replay, let me know that you showed up and you show some support, especially if you stayed to this point. Woo! Shout outs to you. And definitely reach out. Share with whatever questions you do have, so that you can get your questions answered and you know exactly what your next steps will be. But with that being said, y'all be safe. Make sure y'all get y'all brackets ready and done. Get your Final Four. I'll be asking a few of you, especially if you tapped in to this one specifically. But Enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe, like I mentioned, and do what it do, whatever that means.